All right, we're doing it. We're doing the video that I might be more excited about than any video I've ever done. We're giving y'all the juice. I mean, I'm giving you the juice of the juice. What I mean by that is I'm gonna do a breakdown of Hartwell, not just of the lake. People have done breakdowns of lakes. People have done all these things. I'm gonna do a breakdown of how my practice went to how my tournament went, okay? And I'm gonna show you all the decisions and the reasons on why I did what I did. And there's a lot of things in there. There's a lot of things that I think you can take from this and use it to almost every application of fishing tournaments, like looking at lakes, breaking them down. I mean, you gotta realize, guys, I showed up, put the boat in the water, and I'm real bad about this. I do no research. I do nothing. I know that it's a herring lake. I've never been on one. I don't know if there's fish shallow, where to go south, north, creeks, anything. I don't know anything. I literally just put my boat in, and that's how I do things. I'm not too much of an information guy. I don't care about that. It usually never fits my style of fishing. And sometimes the way I fish can get me in trouble a little bit, but that's okay. So I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna show y'all some fish catches, some things I learned in practice, and how that all materialized, what I missed. Like, so these are the things I missed, why I didn't catch them, or I kind of was on more than I thought. I just didn't realize it. So let's dive on in, guys. And like I said, if this is the first time watching a video like this, please subscribe, guys. There's more stuff to come like this. I'm gonna do one of these after every single open. So we got 4 more opens. I'm gonna do it, and I'm telling you, I think this might be the most information I ever give away. And I just never knew how to do it. This is how I'm gonna do it. All right, so I might be all over the place at the beginning. What we're gonna do is I'm gonna start with the map. I'm gonna show y'all what the lake looks like and what I feel is the player in all this. Like, what can I do? There's a lot of factors I didn't realize were gonna come into play, like a bunch that I was not expecting. And these are the kind of things we run into in the tournament. So let's dive in on the map, and then we'll get to the other. Yeah, I know. My graphs are bad, so let me get some of this stuff. There is Lake Hartwell, okay? South end and the creeks that are coming off. That's the one big creek, that's the second one. So when I put in every day, I put in right here, okay? I put in right there every day, and those are my tracks of where I went. Now, right off the bat, I know that there's the main lake and these 2 or 3 river arms, mainly 2 river arms. This is kind of a side river. I can't run. If I just wanted to run rivers, I could do that. But man, I don't want to spend all my time, if I don't know, running rivers, not knowing if that's the deal. And like I said, most of the guys who did good in this area of the lake, around here and this bottom end. And like I said, I just couldn't go to all of them. So I spent a lot of my time here, and as you can see, up this river. Most of these fish were on these shoals like this, okay? So look, they're on stuff like that. And you can drive up and down the lake and find them, okay? I mean, they are literally littered everywhere. I mean, there they are. Some of them have cans on them, you know? I mean, like I said, they are literally, the entire lake is full of these. You can see them all over. And that's the deal. That's what guys caught them off of. That's where all the cane piles are at. They put them all, and like I said, I mean, I can do this all day long, all the way down to the dam, right? And I'll even come down here where I didn't even fish. Anywhere I stop, it doesn't matter where I stop, there they go, right? There they go. I mean, they are all over the place. Any of that green you see in those points, that's where they put them. Now, here's the problem with it, is that as I got out there, and we'll start after day 1, I got out there and started doing this, and I got bit, and that's where I caught some of my Carolina rig fish. The problem is that after hanging out with Hallman and Andrew and Scott, what I quickly realized is that I'll just say it. I didn't have a live scope, and that mattered. It mattered big time because they were throwing at cane piles and finding them easier, and they were finding schools of fish easier. I was casting it into the abyss. I was blind fishing, and I wasn't going to try to compete against guys that had that over me. So that was a factor I did not plan on.
I wouldn't want to do it.
Huh?
I wouldn't want to do it. I wouldn't want to do it not being able to see him.
I know. That's what's frustrating.
I mean, dude, we can see, even when we can't see them, we can see the damn pile. It's right there.
I instantly had to change all my thoughts about this tournament because I wasn't going to get out there and battle against those guys. I was going to lose. Hands down. There was no way I could compete. And I knew that. And I already wanted to go to that event fishing shallow. So I had to make a choice. And you see me, in my choice, I came down to one of these creeks right here, right off the bat. And you see, if you watch my practice video, I got bit in this creek right here in the back with a 5-pounder. Okay? Now, here's the thing. She didn't actually bite. She was about to bite, and I didn't let her. That's important. So, on day 1, I ran a lot of that, never saw another fish. Day 2, I ran up this river, okay? So, you can see, I ran all the way up this river, and I started hitting. Sometimes I'd hit main lake stuff. Sometimes I'd go back in these creeks, okay? Sometimes I'd go to the very back. Sometimes I'd start at the very beginning. I'd hit different parts of the creeks, and what I was trying to do was figure out where they are at. I even went all the way up here, which isn't the end of the place, but I drove as far away as I could, like 10 more miles, but I didn't like it. It was dirty. I'm not saying there weren't fish up there, but I didn't like it. I wanted to stay in a little bit clearer water. And you can see I started getting bit, and what I started realizing is that where I was getting bit, it took me a long time to figure out like where in the creek, because a lot of times I'd get in the middle, it'd be, you know, in little pockets, sometimes it'd be at the end of the pocket, sometimes it'd be, and there was little bitty channel swings and little places that I started realizing, you know, where I was getting bit at. And sometimes it mattered if there was boat docks there, sometimes it didn't. These were all things that I was trying to figure out. Now, all that's good, and all that's kind of hard to figure out, and it takes hours. It takes sometimes a day or two. I was still going to fish out there on the main lake with those guys because I knew the morning time was pretty good out there. And so they bit in the morning time. There was a morning time bite, sometimes they schooled, but you didn't have to be as precise in the morning. Second is that although they were on cane piles, there were still some random ones out there swimming around in schools. So I knew till about 9 o'clock my bite wasn't that good, so I thought. That's where I came up with the problem. On the final day of practice, I run back up there shallow, okay? And I run to this main lake island. There are main lake islands like this one, okay? And like that one. And this main lake island, if you watch all my practice video, and I'll probably splice that in there, you'll watch, I get bit by one. All right. Here's the video. I get bit by this one fish, okay? And then I'll bring in some other fish I get bit on, but I got bit by this one fish. I barely even could tell it was a bite. It was so subtle. It was on a top water. If you see, I roll up to it on high, and I see it, and it's a 5-pounder. It didn't dawn on me yet. This is where I messed up. But I couldn't have known this, and I didn't put 2 and 2 together, and this is my fault. So I went and looked around at some other spots and didn't catch them. Finally went to another spot that looked the same and had 2 more 4 to 5 pounders come out. You see it on my practice video. You see them come out there. I get really excited. That's when I left and drove the rest of the day looking for spots like this. And I marked like 10 or 15, and I got bit out of a lot of them. Saw fish in almost every one of them. At least half of them. So I was making good decisions at this point in time. Everything was right. So let's backtrack a little bit. When I went up the creek and I got those bites, and you see I have waypoints up there of where I was getting bite, and I counted every single bite. I don't care if it was a 12-incher or a 3-pounder. I counted them all as bites. Now, as topwater fishermen, and y'all can all attest to this, most of the time, you know, you get a topwater bite, you can kind of tell how big it is, right? Like, sometimes you overthink how big they are. Like, they blow up on you, like, oh my gosh, it was a giant. Well, I didn't think I had one fish over 3 pounds bite in 2 days, okay? That's how small a fish I thought they were. Now, granted, I didn't know. I honestly thought some of them were spotted bass, which they were. I didn't think they were big ones. I almost thought none of them were largemouth. I don't know why I thought that, but they bit so soft and they didn't explode on it. And I just didn't think, it just didn't feel right to me. When I come back down on the last day and have that one bite me that bit so subtle, I thought it was a 2-pounder. And I get up there and it's a big one. I mean, I saw it clear as day. I mean, I followed it down the bank. Still didn't dawn on me. This is the part I'm struggling with after this tournament. And I'm sure you guys understand, like when you leave somewhere, you're like, I messed up. Still hadn't dawned on me yet, right? So I told Holman, I said, man, I can get bit up the river, but I can't catch more than 12, 13 pounds. That's if everything bites, that's if everything eats it, and that's if I land everything. Like at the best day in the world, I never miss anything. And they all bite 13 pounds. Best I could ever do. And these guys, I think a bad day sometimes could be 13 for them. So I'm like, but I had to make a decision right off the bat. I knew I couldn't compete against those guys doing what they were doing, where they were doing it, with the amount of waypoints they were finding, where they were finding fish. They weren't even finding them on the points half the time. They'd be out there, they'd be inside the point. Like I would have been fishing the abyss blindly, and I was not going to do it. I'm not a guy who does not do that. I'm not gonna sit there knowing that I can't beat some of them because either I don't have the right technology, the right bait, whatever. It wasn't gonna happen. So I start off the first morning, and I know it's not on there, guys, and I'm sorry. I was really upset about this because first morning I caught a couple on a Carolina rig just like I wanted to. I wanted to catch 5, or I wanted to catch 2 or 3 small ones, okay? Or fish, keepers. And then I could run this pattern because I might only catch 1 or 2 like this, but they're gonna be big ones. Next thing I know, I went to a couple of spots. I didn't see any, but it's 9 o'clock, guys. This is important. It's like 9:30 by the time I start running my pattern. I'm thinking it's going to get better as the day goes on. As I run my pattern, I go down this one bank. I catch a pretty good one. I see her. She's like a 3.5, almost 4-pounder, and I catch her up there. I mean, in the dirt. I get her in. I've got 4 at this point. I'm feeling pretty excited. I go down some other banks and I see some, even down that same bank, I see some, and one of them barely bites it and misses it. And there's like 2 or 3 3-pounders with it. And I see another group of 3-pounders. And I go down some other banks and see some. The other ones weren't really in the right water column for them to bite. And that's, I didn't know if they were in the right water column, but I didn't like where they were at. They were a little too deep. They were like that 2 to 3 foot, and sometimes those fish are just kind of hanging out. They're not ready to really bite. But I knew where some were. That was important to me. I keep doing this. I find another big school, and I mean a big school of them, like 8 3 to 4-pounders. Wolf packing. Bad things happen. I got hung up on a tree. I spooked them, like, whatever. But I've got 4 that aren't too bad. I kind of started getting worried around 12, 1 o'clock. Even though I got a long time left, I'm like, I better go up that river and at least catch me one. So I went up there, stopped on the first spot, my first waypoint that was closest. I catch one on my second cast. I almost left because I didn't really practice down that bank because I got bit right off the bat. So I went down the bank, catch me another a big spot, and like a 2 1/4 or something. I'm like, oh man, that was another freebie. So I culled, run back down the lake, and fish this way for the rest of the day. I almost really don't see any more for the rest of the day. Like, for the next 3 or 4 hours, I don't see any. I don't get any bites, and I'm going, man, the middle of the day is not good, and that's an issue. So I spent a lot of my day learning that. Luckily, I backed on off with like 30 minutes, or I think like 5 minutes left in the tournament. Catch my second biggest one on a swim bait out there, just fishing around. So I've got a pretty decent bag, man. I'm in the top 30. I'm right where I want to be, and I didn't even catch one of those big ones I really saw. Like I think there's some big 4 and 5 pounders that I didn't even catch. day 2 rolls around. Like I said, I still haven't figured it out, guys. I still haven't realized what I missed. Day 2 rolls around, I don't get any bites out deep in the morning time. I'm struggling. I go back up shallow where I caught my big one the day before, catch another one. So now I've got one, and then I run all this stuff and I get nothing. I mean, nothing. I've seen a couple follow, and I'm like, let's go up that river. We got a shorter day. I go up the river. You'll see even in my tournament day where I see one and she doesn't bite. And then I see one off a boat dock, a giant, it doesn't bite. I catch another one, I catch a couple small ones, but I'm starting to see them. And I'm starting to see them, and they're all 3-pounders. They're all 3 to 3.5 pounders. And I'm not seeing a bunch, but I see them up there. Like, and a couple of them will follow it up there, you know, and they won't bite. And I'm like, it didn't dawn on me. Like, and I talk about it in the tournament, right then and there, I'm almost seeing no 2-pounders. And that's kind of what I thought I was on, guys. Remember, I said, I don't think I'm really on that many big ones. And it started making me think about the bites I had in the tournament, in practice, about how they never really blew up on it hard. And I started going, I wasn't on 2-pounders. I was on 3 to 4-pounders. They just bit different. And halfway through that second day, it dawned on me, I was on them better than I thought, and I just didn't commit to them. So, guys, we all do this. There was really no way of me knowing. I shake fish off in practice. I didn't have hooks on them in practice, and I can usually tell how big they are. We had a lot of wind. We had a lot of clouds. We had a lot of things that limited my ability to see how big they were, and it was a first for me. So I kind of messed up. Now, luckily at the end of the day, I pieced together some fish, went back down there, and guys, like, this is where practice goes. I had figured out another way to catch them. Carolina rigging on the bottom. I know everyone, if you saw, most guys would catch them all on top, and I did catch some on top. But sometimes you need something different than everyone else, to where you can go behind people. And that Carolina rig was that for me. Wasn't catching big ones, but it was able for me to catch limits, and limits matter, especially in these 200 people. So I ended up catching one off the spot at the end of the day. It was the spot I would start on, and then I caught one on a Carolina rig. And it just so happened, since it was a decent spot, they came up on me. I threw my caffeine shad out there and caught my biggest one of the day.
Oh, did he? Yes, he did.
Got him.
Good job, man.
Be a bass. Be a bass. Be a bass.
Right here. Good job, man. Good job.
That's what I'm talking about.
You know, I only caught 5. It saved me. Sometimes these tournaments are about saving yourself, not winning. And this is the kind of things I want to express to you in this video. I wanted to let y'all know why I make the decisions I made. That it all started off from the beginning. I was going to do this one thing, right? Fish on top, fish top waters, go after these cane piles, these herring fish. And like I said, I got bit there, but I knew right away after talking to Hallman and Andrew and Scott that, like, I couldn't compete with those guys. Couldn't do it. And that was a hard pill to swallow, man. I mean, I stayed awake at night thinking about that, upset about that I couldn't really go fish that way, even though I really wanted to. I was excited to do that. And the shallow stuff, I don't know. I'm pretty sure they didn't bite because of the clouds on day 2. It made them follow more, and maybe I should have been able to figure it out another way to catch them. I tried some other ways. I couldn't get any of them to eat anything else. My coiners never caught anything behind me up there. So I don't know if I was able to catch those fish, but I also don't know if I'd have stayed with them all day long, if there was a window where they ate, like a morning window. And that was one of the things I only learned on day 2, that those fish around 12 o'clock started moving off the bank. Where they went, I don't know, but they were definitely harder to catch. And it wasn't even that they were hard to catch, they just weren't up there anymore. Like, I physically never saw them again. So those were things that happened to me in the tournament. These are the things that I wanted to share with y'all, because what happens in these videos is all you see is a guy out there catching fish. but it never shows you the path to get there and the decisions we make to get there and why we chose to go there. Mine wasn't because I got some information to go out there. You know, when I went shallow, guys, I ran into nobody. I mean, I never had to worry about a person up there. Granted, I also didn't come in the top 10, but I think a top 10 bag was there. I'm 100% sure a top 10 bag was there, and maybe I needed one more day. Sometimes you need something to go in the tournament to kind of, you know, flip that light switch. I got most of the light switch figured out. I didn't realize what I was on, and I think that confidence of knowing those were 3-pounders, I think it would have totally changed my perspective on how to fish them. So this is my lake breakdown. It's not a lake breakdown of where, you know, guys sit there and put a breakdown of this is what to look for and things like that. Guys, that's not how tournament fishing, like, it's rarely, you rarely have a game plan that fits the, you know, how you set off on. When you do, it's usually, I always say, if that game plan works, you're usually in the top 10. But usually, you know, for the guys that aren't in the top 10, a lot of us have to figure it out like as we go. And this was a tournament where I had to figure it out as I went, kind of piece things together. On day 1, that it all went pretty good. Day 2, it didn't go as good, but I still managed to grind out, you know, a top 50, make, you know, get some valuable points. I moved up in the standings. I figured them out. I think if we went back there again, I would have been excited to go on day 3. A lot of guys said that, man, day 3, they would have struck. I would have, like, man, I would have loved to have gone out there and seen what I could have done. Look for these videos after every event. I'm usually gonna have a practice vlog, travel vlog, 2, hopefully a day 1 and day 2. I don't know why my camera has been crazy over the one. It got hot, and this last time it froze. It's the first time one's ever froze. I apologize about that, because they were some good fish catches at Hartwell on day 1, like some cool topwater stuff, some neat things that I don't think many people were doing. And but we're gonna do one at Neely Henry, Louisville, Cherokee, Lay Lake. I'm gonna do one of these, and I think this is a better way to learn and kind of figure out what kind of goes on the minds of at least me, and how I look at things, that it's not just blindly, I'm trying to put the pieces together. Just dawned on me that might be the name of the series, the puzzle piece, you know, something like that. I hope you like this stuff. Let me know if you like it. Hit that like button, comment, tell me if you like these, because I enjoyed doing this, man. I wanted to share with everyone what I had found and how I approach this tournament. I think sometimes that's more important than techniques, you know, waypoints, any of that stuff. Is just trying to figure it out, man. Like, that's what we're all after, is out here to try to figure out that the game of fishing. So hope you all like this, guys. Enjoy.